We just finished watching the third episode of Chainsaw Man, and we've got some thoughts on it. Today, of course, I've got Jaden here with me.
Yep, that's me.
And we also have somebody who we've never had on before. We've got Caleb.
What's going on?
So pretty much we all just together finished watching the latest Chainsaw Man episode titled Meowie's Whereabouts. So it was episode 3. And of course, like normal, we're just going to go through it and talk about it like we normally do, right?
All right.
So first off, this episode covers the rest of Chapter 5 in the manga all the way to Chapter 8, right? It ends right where Chapter 8 ends off, right? And the episode starts off right where it ended off last time. Power just smashed the devil into oblivion, right? And it starts off with Makima chewing both Power and Denji out, right? She's yelling at Denji because, well, Denji did a Denji and didn't ruin Power, right? And because Power went batshit insane.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, here's something I have to add. I noticed that all the devils seem to have purple blood, which I'm not sure if that's a censorship choice or if that's just to differentiate the colors for, effect.
I think the devils have always had that purple blood. There's a certain panel in the manga that comes way later on where I'm pretty sure purple blood is explicitly shown. So I think it's that sort of thing.
Is part of the lore stuff?
What? Purple
Purple
blood?
blood?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, another thing I noticed is during this time there was a nice Makima ass shot that the subtitles tried to cover up.
Oh, great. I know you were really looking for that, Jade.
Yeah.
Right. During this talk, we learned that Power's the blood devil for real this time. Right. That's how she had a blood hammer. Right. And Power then blames Denji for telling him to kill the devil. Right. And they just start arguing a bunch. And Makima's in like, hope you two get along.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
then we cut to an alley with some vending machines, right, where Denji and Power are just getting some drinks after the whole cataclysmic event, right? As a cat comes up to Power, right? Power pets the cat, and Denji's just like, how am I going to get a cop a feel with all this going on? How? Yep. Right? And then Power starts to say that she only trusts cats, right? These humans are the scum of the highest order, and she just really cares about cats the most out of everything, right? And here we also learn that she used to have a cat that was kidnapped by a devil, right? And before she could get her cat back, Makima nabbed Power, right? And now Power's under her control pretty much, right? And Denji's like, what do you mean? Cats are dumb as hell. I mean, I wouldn't. Why would you like a cat? But then he's like, I'd probably do the same for a dog, though, right? Being that him and Puchito are neck and neck, right? And that is when Power comes up with the deal. She's like, you want to cop a feel, right? You can feel my breast all you want, right? How about this? You skip my fucking cat back and we're all good.
And that's the best deal Denji's ever heard now.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's fun, right? And then at this point, Denji's like, cats are great. I love them. We're going to kill that devil. Yep. Right? And that's the whole thing. At this point, the opening plays, kick back, of course, right?
Yes.
It's funny. At first, I didn't really like it that much, but over time, like, it is an amazing opening.
It is pretty good.
I don't think you can go wrong with it at this point. What do you think of it, Caleb?
I like it.
I think the visuals just add a lot to it of like crazy crap, and
I like the nude to it too.
I think
it really describes like
the kind
of, the best way to put it is unhinged.
Yeah. Unhinged.
Well, we'll get to the ending later.
Okay.
Right. At this point, we open up at the Public Safety Devil Hunter's office, right, where Denji is requesting leave for Power. Pretty much, we learned that Power is like something you have to rent out for certain amounts of time, right?
All right.
So pretty much the dude's like, hey, just make sure she's back by 5 o'clock, right? At this point, Denji and Power are going to get Meowie back, of course, and Power's like, just so you know, the Bat Devil, or we don't learn it's the Bat Devil yet, but this devil who took Meowie will probably use Meowie as a shield against me, right? At this point, Denji starts thinking of Puchita, and he tells Power, I once had, like, a dog of my own, and it was a devil, and apparently he's my heart now, and Power's just like, cinema bullcrap, doesn't matter, right? At this point, we then do a quick cut to Makima talking to the government, right? And at this point, we pretty much hear her talking and the government talking, and they're like, So how are these hounds that you've picked up? Will they do good for our mission? Right? And it's very vague, and pretty much the whole thing of it is that they aren't really counting humans as humans, and they're just counting them as whatever will work best for their goal.
So something
right?
I noticed. All right. You know how they put a lot of focus on Makima's eyes?
Yeah.
They're yellow and red, and they have a weird pattern. Just like Power, who's a fiend.
You've got that circle effect.
Now, I don't know about you, but that preludes to a little something.
Does it?
But we'll see.
You think she's got some special powers or something?
I don't know. I mean, I've read the
Gotta find
series.
out.
I know if you're right or wrong, right? Jaden, you've read
About a third.
about a third,
I've not
right?
seen it
And you don't know anything.
Not
Caleb.
anything.
So yeah, I know the answer to all of your questions, right? Like I can pretty much go in depth in this series and tell you all about it. So that may be something, it may not be something. Have fun, right?
All right.
I'll neither confirm or deny, right? I will deny though, because that's you're fucking stupid.
Okay, well, let's continue.
Right. So pretty much the government's just like, just make sure you don't get attached to these hounds, right? We cut outside and we see that Aki has been driving Makima around, right? And Aki pretty much just tells Makima some stuff, right? Not really a whole lot to go into there, right? At this point, Makima does tell Aki, though, about the lore, right? About how devil's strength works, right? She says that, for instance, devils who are more feared by humans are stronger, right? She uses the coffee devil as an example. Coffee is something that is not feared by most, so won't be strong, right? Well, a car would be really strong, right? Think something like that. Something that is very feared is going to be very strong.
Hence why she keeps Dingy around, because chainsaws can be a scary tool. And so
I
that would give
mean,
them
this
more
is
power.
coming. This episode is coming out around Halloween time too. I mean, it's a scary time of the year, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's a thing, right? At this point, Dingy and Power appear at this house, right? And Power's like, well, how are we going to kill this devil for me, right? And Dingy's like, chainsaws?
Yeah.
I get it. And Power's like, that's a stupid joke. Chainsaws don't matter, right? But then Dingy's like, hey, Power, why are you getting so close to this house? Won't you, want to eat the cat, right? And Power's just like, oh, did I say that? Oops. As she turns around with a hammer and just knocks Dingy flat on the ground,
Yep.
right? But Dingy also reacts to this and tries to get Power back too, right? At this point, she walks into the house. We learned that this is the Bat Devil, and we see that her goal was to sacrifice Dingy,
Yeah.
right? The Bat Devil then takes Dingy, and we see that he is hurt, and he squeezes some of Dingy's blood. He pretty much just takes him and wrings him out into his mouth, right?
Yeah.
To get blood in his mouth to and he regenerates one of his arms, right? And at this point, we get the backstory of Power.
So, real quick, before we continue, one thing I noticed is that when the Bat Devil's first introduced, me and Caleb both noticed this,
Yeah.
he kind of looks like a FNAF design, like from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Like an animatronic.
The big teeth in the eyes kind of has that design philosophy. So, just something I noticed.
I've never played those games.
That might be a good thing.
It was just kind of funny.
So pretty much we get some Power backstory, and we learn how much this cat means to her, right? And pretty much she's never really cared. She just murders everything in sight. But eventually she's found this cat, and she was going to eat it once it got big and fat, but she ended up loving it instead, right? And we get some backstory about this, right? And we see that the cat eventually gets taken by the devil, right? As we go back to the present, Power's pleading with the devil to give her a cat back, and she brought a human like the deal specified, right? The devil said, hey, I'll give you your cat back if you bring me a human, right? As we see the Bat Devil just eats the cat,
Yep.
right? Just eats it in the cage, right?
Oh, something else I forgot to mention. The Bat Devil, tried to throw away Dingy because his blood tasted bad because he's part devil.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes out up here in a
And
second.
so the Bat Devil wasn't necessarily satisfied with the human that Power brought.
Exactly. So, and at this point, Power is just like, my cat's gone. And she tells Dingy, I think I understand what you mean about your Puchita now, right? I understand how I'll never get to see my cat again, as the Bat Devil just goes and picks Power up and just eats her whole.
Now, typical anime mistake. By the power of plot armor, she got swallowed whole. Now, me and Caleb have both seen Attack on Titan. What happened last time somebody got swallowed whole by a big monster?
Well, they got ate and then
They survived.
survived.
So,
Of course, they're not going to kill her off early.
Yeah,
so.
monsters, you gotta chew through.
I mean, this character's
the
only in like every ending so far, every opening so far,
Yeah,
and all
just-
the promotional material. I think on Hulu, her name is the name of the second episode.
And she has a big part in the opening where it's power and her just bam knockers.
Exactly.
Yep.
And the Bat Devil's like, I'm not satisfied with this crap. As he starts to fly off into the sky, as we see, and he turns around, and Dingy's just holding onto his leg, and he just screams, "Give me my tits back!" Right? And at this point, Dingy goes in his own mind and thinks, there was a point when Pochita got lost, right? And I was very sad, terrified about what this all meant. And he was like, and it scared me. I was terrified. I came back home and Pochita was there, and I was the happiest I had maybe ever been, right? And it's at that point that Dingy's like, I don't care. I will still murderize your ass, right?
Yep.
As Dingy summons Forfeit's chainsaws and starts to mess with the Bat Devil, right?
And as soon as the music starts.
And as soon as the action starts, cut.
That was a little cock
It's kind of
blocky.
like a turn off, you know?
Yeah.
I think it works because we go to a human who's got some books, right? She's walking out of her classroom, right? And as soon as she walks out, the whole building around her just crumbles.
Yep.
As Dingy and the Bat Devil appear, right? And Dingy's all lying on the ground, and this lady's there, right? And Dingy's like, hey, what the hell are you doing? Get out of here, right? As the Bat Devil's like, you're a devil. Number one, that's why you tasted bad, and why would you let a human go? We devils exist to terrorize humans, right? That is our job, right? And then the two of them just continue to fight, right? And as they continue to fight, Dingy keeps telling people, like, hey, run, get out of here, right? Just run. You're about to die if you don't, right? And eventually, the Bat Devil has a car drive past it, and the Bat just picks it up and is just like, what are you going to do about this, right? And there's a human in here. You're going to save the human. And he throws the car at Dingy, right? And at this point, Dingy's chainsaws retract off of him, right? As he goes and he catches the car, and it's like, it's not a woman, I don't care. And he just throws it back at the Bat Devil, right?
Yep.
And all of these, and this guy just falls out of it like a rag doll, rolls on the ground.
I thought he
right?
jumped out of his car.
I think he did.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but his chainsaws retract, and she throws it back at him, right? And at this point, the Bat's just like, what the hell, man? Right? As what ends up happening is the Bat Devil summons like a blow dart thing from its mouth.
That was so weird.
It's-
It's kind of disturbing looking.
Very strange animation, yeah.
Yeah, and it just like shoots an air cannon at Dingy, and it just hits Dingy.
I think
straight
it's like a
on.
supersonic wave like beam thing.
Yeah.
It's probably
It's
like
like
bats or
yeah.
echolocation. It's something like that, right? They send out their sound or whatever, right? I don't know the anatomy of bats. I really don't care that much, right? And at this point, Dingy just gets thrown back into the wall as Dingy's like, damn it, I will make sure that you are defeated. I do not care at this point, right? As he summons four of his chainsaws once again, and they just start to fight. And we end the episode on Dingy just absolutely wrecking the Bat Devil, pretty much killing him, like chopping him into thousands of pieces. Then the ending plays. The ending is like this weird psychedelic experience.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
Like, I've heard a lot of things online. This is the best animation out of any of the endings, right? It's crazy. It's insane, right? The song is 200 million centimeters by, oh geez, what's the band?
Maximum the Hormone.
Maximum the Hormone, right? And it's this weird song, and it's like just crazy as it can be, and like goes like some angelic pose. Like, it's weird. Like, if you've not checked out this ending, just at least check it out. I mean, it's crazy.
It's great. I like it.
It's again, it's so unhinged and ridiculous because I feel like that really represents this manga. Like, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is bizarre and weird.
All right, hey,
Chainsaw Man is just off the walls.
All right, there's our first JoJo Bizarre Adventure reference
Hey,
for the episode.
I went 16 minutes without doing one.
I'm all for the JoJos.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's where the episode ends. As normal, this episode really follows the manga beat for beat, right? There's nothing that's cut out. Not like last episode where the entirety of the Muscle Devil got cut out. This is beat for beat for beat, and hey, it covers the rest of Chapter 5, right? All Chapter 6, 7, and 8. So that's about like three and a half chapters of
great
depth
pacing.
into this, right? And that's really good pacing, and I think that's what most people are expecting out of this is, hey, if we've got a 97 chapter series, right? and we have what I imagine is about 3 cores for this would work right.
Yeah.
Right, it's about 36 episodes, right? That's about 3 chapters an episode, so I think that's a great pacing.
Yeah.
And like the sound design in this episode, like it is on point.
The soundtrack is really good.
It's
It's like Jujutsu Kaisen.
But like, yeah, I mean, it's a MAPPA soundtrack. It fits in perfectly.
Now,
I mean,
on the topic of MAPPA animation, this episode was pretty good. There was actually a lot of 2D Chainsaw Man scenes, and the 3D that was there was masked relatively well. I mean, it's still noticeable, but it's a lot better than it was episode 1.
As long as I still have the same idea for the thumbnail that I'm going to do for this episode, you'll have seen it in the thumbnail, right? But just a scene there with Denji, like, you can obviously tell that it is 3D CG, right? Like, there's no doubt in my mind of what it is or what it is.
It kind of looks like it came off like a video game.
Whenever Denji has to turn his head, you have to use 3D because of how his head is made.
Yeah, you can't avoid it, but it does look really well. I mean, as bad as it can be, I think it's really good, right?
So, overall, my rating, 7 out of 10. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I've grown to like it. It was a lot better than episode 1. Episode 1, in my opinion, was not very good.
I would still say I think episode 1 was good in a cinematic manner, right? I think just the whole fight with the zombie was good, but that's not this episode, right? What did you think about it, Caleb? Being that you've never experienced Chainsaw Man before, besides this anime.
I liked it. It's something different, and I enjoy it. I mean, I'll continue watching it.
Yeah.
Just like what Jaden said, like episode 1 was alright, but for my first experience of Chainsaw Man, it's good. I mean, I'll continue watching it.
Yeah,
I recommend it.
I mean, whenever I watch it, I feel like I'm looking into the mind of a psycho sometimes because of just how ridiculous it is.
Dude, Tatsuki Fujimoto, the author, he is someone else. To be honest, I would love to meet him, right?
Yeah.
And you know what the best part is? Whenever these chapters come out in Shonen Jump, there's this thing called these Shonen Jump author comments, right? Their whole thing is that he just talks about food the entire time.
Yeah.
He literally just talks about what his favorite foods are and all of that while he's writing this manga where, like, later on, there's a whole power-up for Denji where he sets himself on fire, right? While these crazy events are happening, right?
One of my favorite interviews was one time he was talking about how this girl in his college made fun of him and basically, like, demeanored him, and he was just so turned on by it. That's where he got Makima from. These dominant evil women.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of these.
Yeah, I've never heard that interview, though, but yeah, that's all we got to say about Chainsaw Man. I think this episode is good. My most important thing is that it keeps with the manga while adding more value to it, and I think it does that.
Yeah, which is what anime's supposed to do.
Exactly, and do you guys have anything else to say?
Not really. I think I'm good for now.
Not really.
All right, well, this has been Corbin, Caleb, and Jacob, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.
Not Jacob. Corbin, Caleb, and Jaden.
Yeah,
Jacob's another one of our friends. You may hear him someday. We'll see you next time.
All right,
Glowplasma231 out.